Amazing. Oh, so many notes. It's a long one, eh? Great job. Great job. Oh, I love this piece so much. Yeah, I always forget how much I like it. And then I hear it again. Um, so Lucie, tell me, there's honestly so much to talk about. Tell me about how learning this piece was for you and what you and Julia have been talking about, what you've been working on with it in preparation for our class together.
I think the main two sections we've been working on is that like part on the third page and then the part on the second page, like
Yeah,
where the bow is kind of like back and forth between the two or three different strings.
yeah, yeah. I was expecting coming in here because I've had a couple other students work on this piece in the past before, talking to you about your left hand, because I find that this piece is really hard to keep in tune at this performance speed that it needs to be played. I actually think that your left hand is almost flawless. There were a couple notes. There was one accidental I just wanted to
Yeah,
tell you
I
about.
have it. I don't remember exactly where it was.
74, 75, 76. It's the C natural. Um, that was something you can just take note of just to get the harmony when you play with piano. But I think that you actually have a really good ear, and your center of pitch is the strongest part of this piece. So I'm not going to talk to you about intonation. I think that for me, what would make this piece better or more exciting, really, is feeling it in three a little bit more. I think that I felt like as you moved through the different sections, we sometimes we sort of lost the rhythm. I know you're not supposed to tap your feet as a classical musician, but this is sort of a foot tapping piece. It kind of rocks. I remember putting it in my earbuds when I was 13 and being like, oh my God, it's so rocking. Like it's a sort of a perpetual motion. And I think that as you navigate through these like tricky moments, I'd like you to give us the sense of three a little bit better. Now, how do you do that? I think it's a bow thing again, because I think that if your bow is not razor sharp accurate at the right moment, so it speaks at the right time, you have to take a split second of time to get it to speak and to make sure your tone is good. It's like a carefulness where we've lost the rhythmic intensity. So there's a couple different ways to work on this. Have you been practicing it with metronome out of curiosity?
Not really.
So I think some good old-fashioned metronome work would actually just be the first step so that you can realize the moments that you're taking time. Obviously, the part that stands out to me is on page 2, where you have when the 16th notes kind of come in for the first time, and then you have long notes after that. So measures, let me pull up, the screen share is a little small for me. I'm going to pull up my own copy of the score. So I'm going blind. Starting in measure 50, 51, 52. That would be a section from 52 to 66. I would play that with metronome, or even slightly below whatever your metronome marking would be. Did you at some point have a metronome marking for this?
I'm not sure what tempo I'm playing this at.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. I would start around 80. as like a good practice tempo. And I would run through it at 80 and I would just mark in red the sections that you're like, uh-oh, I'm breaking the metronome rhythm here. Because unlike other pieces where we can be rubato and take a lot of time, I sort of see this as a perpetual motion. And I don't think it should stray too much from the tempo that you set at the beginning of the piece. Because not only in the section I just pointed out to you on page 2, where the 16th note's dragging a little bit, the long notes, actually, you were cutting them a bit shorter because they look, they look so easy compared to the rest that they're kind of throwaway notes. But when you hold them, and then especially when you crescendo through them, it's really exciting. Do you have a metronome with you? Do you want to play a little bit with metronome for me?
I don't have my metronome right now, but
that's no problem. We can do it where you just are keeping time in your head too. We don't need the machine yet. That's more something you can do at home when you practice. Let's go. I'm going to give you 80 on my metronome, and let me hear. I'm looking for a good spot. Yeah, let me hear from the opening to measure 25. And here's around the tempo I want you to go at. Okay. Good. So that's our exposition. That's our first statement of the theme. Okay, we're going to break it down into 2 parts. The first thing you're going to do is take your bow, and I want you to go. For me, I would stay a little bit below the middle. I wouldn't use too much bow. I would maybe use 4 inches or 5 inches. And then we're going to do 2 different bow strokes. We're going to do one that is sort of three subdivided 8th notes in the slur. So I'm just removing your notes, and we're just practicing it on an open string, like an open A string. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I want to hear a tiny little accent at the beginning. You use your index finger to pinch the bow. And like I said, maybe 4 inches of bow. And let's just try to get a really consistent place in the bow where we're playing. Can you try that for me? Use half that amount of bow, move a little bit closer to the bridge, and yeah, there you go. That I do with my hands, I sort of call it a pinch and release, where I use my index finger to initiate the start of the slur. And then I release so that the note has a little bit of a tail on it, so that the sound still lasts for 3 beats. So if I were looking at it visually, it would be like little triangles. Sha, 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 sha. You try. She's like, oh. great initiation. Let's have the sound last all the way until the next pinch. Right now I hear a little staccato. I want this. That's getting close. That's getting close. That's the bow stroke that I would use to start this piece. And the first thing I would do is set my metronome at 80 and play with just that open string bow stroke until it's easy for you. Because the good thing about this piece is, unlike Olivia's piece that has many, many different sections, this piece is very, very dominant in that bow stroke. And once you learn that bow stroke and a few variations on it, you can pretty much play the whole piece. The one other bow stroke in this section is a hooked bow. It's a quarter note plus an eighth note. So I'd like us to just try again with the open string. Or a stopped string, whatever you're more comfortable with. The 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 hooked bow. Yeah, stay a little bit lower, below the halfway point. Right, we call it right along the balance point of the bow. Yeah, do you hear how good your sound is there? It's really consistent. It's really consistent. Try it with a stopped finger, because sometimes if you experience it differently when it's not an open string, and try to repeat that. I want you to remember this bow stroke. Good, good, yeah. Okay, so now if you thought that that was a little crazy, this next thing I'm going to make you do is even stranger. You're going to put your bow down. You're going to take your left hand, and now we're going to practice a very rhythmic left hand. My teacher used to make me do this. You're going to play the notes, and you're going to, and I'm sorry, other people on Skype, you're probably not going to hear this, but and I want you to hear really, really good rhythm coming from your left hand without the bow at all. It's like your fingers are the initiators of the rhythm. Can you try that for me?
Okay.
Yeah. So I call them little hammer notes. And I would also do that at 80. You're gonna notice you rush certain notes and some notes drag, and it's gonna, when you hear it with the metronome, you'll be like, okay, I hear where those moments are. So I would really, this piece is very athletic, and I would train my bow to do that in the exact same part of the bow the whole time. And then I would train my left hand fingers to know the rhythm, because I think the rhythm actually comes from both, but if it's not there in the left hand, it's not there at all. So your fingers need to be experiencing the rhythm and giving us the rhythm just as much as the bow. Now, and obviously this would be the way that I would realistically do this while practicing, Lucie. I wouldn't do all 3 pages in a practice session. Like I would do this work, I would probably break it into 6 days, and I would do a half a page a day. So I would do like 6 lines, and I would play through it once, trying to do bow only with the metronome, once left hand fingers only with the metronome, and then I would try to put it together with the metronome. And then if I had more time and it was going well, I would try to speed up the metronome and get myself a little faster. So that's how I would break it down into a week of practicing, where I had 6 days before I saw my teacher the next time. So I'm just giving you the tiniest little introduction to it. It requires some work to get this piece up. I know how much work this piece is. But let's see if this helps you. So let's go and let's play this opening section again. and I want to hear these hammering left hand fingers, and I want to hear a bow that is, it sort of is like very well trained. It's just sitting down here, and it's, and together we're really hearing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Try it for me.
Okay.
I'm going to stop you if you can hear me. Sorry, I always hate interrupting over Skype. Let's go slower. Let's actually go a lot slower because it's too much to think about right now in 5 minutes. So let's go this tempo. Let's go. Keep your bow closer to the bridge. Let's go that speed. That's more around 60.
Okay.
Your bow sounded really great. It sounded like it was very much in 3 to me. Sometimes your fingers, especially 4-3-2s, for some reason I think when we have the pattern 4-3-2, we want to get off the 4th finger so quickly that it sort of is like a yeah da 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 da. You make your 4 and your 3 too short, and then you make your 2 a little bit longer, and it's a technical thing. So if you slow yourself down and you do that work with the left hand, no bow, where you're like 4-3-2, 4-3-2, 4-3-2, and you do it with a metronome, I think you're going to retrain your fingers to not have those like little lazy moments, because when you go fast, you can barely notice it, but it sounds so much better when they're well trained and they're all moving at the same rate. Okay. So that's my baseline suggestion for how to practice this. If we have the time, I wouldn't mind hearing that really hard section at the end again, because we haven't talked about that yet. Yeah. Do we have the time? Is that okay, Julia?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay.
Is it the section on the 3rd page?
Mm-hmm.
The section.
Yeah, it's the section. The section. It's whatever you're more comfortable with. If you want to start from the 16th notes before it, if you want to start a little bit before, I want to hear I want to hear from measure 105, but start wherever you need to get into it.
Can I just start at measure 105 then?
Yeah. And I'm going to give you a metronome marking before you start, so that we have that beat, that 1, 2, 3 beat in our head before you start. Okay. There we go. I'm going to slow it down for you a little bit. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Great. Your left hand looks great. Your right hand looks good too. I think you can actually use more bow here. So even though this sounds really complicated, it's actually very natural for string players to play like this. Like one of my sort of party tricks is like whenever I play, ooh. Looks like I've lost my teammate. But anyway, what I was going to say is moving up and down all 4 strings like this is actually very idiomatic for the strings. It's not too hard to do, and it actually requires less control than what sounds easier at the beginning of the piece. So I think, because this is also the climax of the piece, I would like you to, again, get a little closer to the bridge if you can, but actually you can use more bow, or you can start with the amount of bow you were using, and then as it goes up and crescendos, each time use a little bit more bow until you're using basically the whole bow at the top of that phrase. Try that for me.
Okay.
More bow. Keep going, but give me more bow. See how far I can. Well, yeah, as much as you can, even if it sounds bad. Yeah. You still have this much that you're not using. And I would love it if you can challenge yourself to get there. Because this section is going to sound great with that extra energy. It already sounds really good though. And in fact, I think you'd be ready to play this faster eventually if you wanted to. I don't think that this is the section that's holding you back. I think that it's the notey left hand sections with the 16th notes that some of that hammer on the string left hand practice will help you with. So do you have any questions for me? Are there any other sections you wanted to show me?
No, thank you.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Congratulations, Lucie.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you